Good afternoon. I am going to tell you an old story which may be of interest to people in Bangladesh and India. This is the story of the present chief advisor of the Bangla government, Shri Mohd Yunus. But in some way it involves us. So I'm going to relate this to you. This was 2000 December. Almost the beginning of the new millennium. We had gone to Japan, Tokyo, for the World Global Development Network Awards, which was the GDN award, and it was the first time it had been established. It is sponsored by the Japanese government with the help of World Bank, and it involves lot of NGOs, lot of social sector entrepreneurs, lot of social work people. So it was a novel step, almost at the level of the Nobel Prize, to encourage entrepreneurship as well as new ideas, as well as good work in the social segment worldwide, mostly in Asia, Africa, South America, countries which were at that moment underdeveloped, or as we refer to them as the developing world. So, lot of interest had been generated in it. There was a project in Madhya Pradesh by the name of Rogi Kalyan Samiti, started by the Digvijay Singh government in '94. The idea was, those days, if you remember, this was the 90s, and there was very little money in the health sector. People were short of funds for any kind of development. The roads were bad, the water availability was bad. Everything was in a very poor stage of development. Health was one of them. So the government had come up with the idea of making Rogi Kalyan Samitis in each district of the state, where people would be members of it. People would, coordinate, generate money, and use the public facilities like district hospitals and PHCs to, and better them and use them as health centers. It was a good idea, and lot of interest had been generated in it, since money was coming in from the private sector as well, from people themselves, and people were involved in it. Of course, it was all coordinated by district collectors and as things happen. But there was an officer called Sudhir Ranjan Mohanty who was very enterprising. He later became chief secretary of the state. But this was '94, and he was district collector of Indore. Indore had been hit by the plague epidemic. Thousands of mice had to be killed, had to be exterminated to check the growth of plague. So Mohanty actually did a lot of work. He totally refurbished the Yashwantrao District Hospital. It's a huge hospital, and to just refurbish it with minimum funds and lot of work is it's a very daunting task. He performed it. Thousands and millions of rats were poisoned and killed, and whole dormitories and whole ICUs and everything was cleaned up, and he had done a remarkable job. He later became the coordinator for this whole Rogi Kalyan Samiti thing all over the state. He had been coordinating with people, district collectors, how their Rogi Kalyan Samitis were working. So he had done a huge amount of work. So coming back to the GDN award, he had applied with the permission of the state government for the Rogi Kalyan Samiti. DS Madhur Sahab was the health secretary, and there were a couple of other applicants for the same award. Of course, there was a huge process before shortlisting of these three applicants. Hundreds of people had applied all over the world, Africa, India, Asia, everywhere. Hundreds of organizations had applied for it. What had happened was, subsequently to the application, the Japanese government had sent their representatives, the World Bank had sent their representatives, and there were a lot of people from Delhi and Tokyo and other places who came down to check the final, before they listed these final 3 finalists. The idea was to not go by the word of the applicants, but see the work on the ground. So Monty took them all over the state, showed them what kind of work had been done. Of course, Yashwantrao Hospital was one of the leading places which had been refurbished, and a good job had been done there. So it was, of course, a showcase. So we come to 2000. We had gone to Tokyo, and amongst all the presentations, and those days there was no Microsoft. Such good things were not available where you could make PowerPoint presentations and all. So it was done through still those slides and projectors and stuff like that. So anyways, the 3 finalists were Rogi Kalyan Samiti, headed by Sudhir Ranjan Mohanty. There was a school. There's a school in the whole system in Bombay called Pratham, which was led by Madhav, and the third one was Grameen Bank, led by Mohd Yunus. What happened during the presentation and interaction with a lot of people? There were, the Japanese Prime Minister was there, the Finance Minister was there, the chairman of the World Bank, the president of the World Bank was there, Amartya Sen was there. So absolutely top-notch quality of people had been involved with this award. This was the first time it had been done, and prize money was something like $125,000. So huge money, huge involvement, huge stakes. Anyways, presentations were made. Yunus Saab was his usual self, dressed in simple pajama kurta, and he was still, I think he was in his 60s then. He made us very nice, kind presentation. Of course, he didn't have any of even the projectors and stuff. He talked about his Grameen Bank. He laid down how he had come about it. He had great faith in the Bengali women working. So this Grameen Bank project was about financing women to, microfinancing women to let them do work of their choice, and organize them into SHGs, and finance them so that they are able to generate more money, so that in the society that they live, it can grow. Banks usually do not finance very poor women, needy groups, and enterprising groups. So Yunus Saab had taken up this challenge. He had opened this Grameen Bank, generated funds from the people, generated funds from various other sources, and started this financing scheme, which is, I think, brilliant. The presentations were made, and still I had made the backup presentations, and I had organized how the Rogi Kalyan Samiti, the whole network, how we collected all the data and how it was presented and stuff. Of course, I had come in very late. Mr. Monty had done work. A lot of district collectors had done the work. Mr. Mathur was heading the department. He later became the Telecom Secretary of India. So when we made the presentation, it was received very well, and eventually we won the award. But lo and behold, 5 years later, for the same Grameen Bank project, Mr. Yunus won the Nobel Prize in 2005. And today, this is how life takes these beautiful turns for people who put in their heart and mind in a project and spend a lifetime doing it. Today, he is the chief advisor of the Bangla government. De facto prime minister, even though technically he can't be called the prime minister. But since Hasina has run away, and they needed someone with that kind of respect within the country to head the government. Now he is doing a wonderful job. His first job is to protect the Hindus over there, and he has been active on that front, as we can see in all these pictures and all the reports that we hear. But this is a small story about how I met Mr. Yunus in Tokyo. This was 25 years ago. and how you could even then see his brilliance, his ideas, his love for his country, and his love for the fortitude of the women, the Bangla women, and his conviction in his own ideas. Hopefully, he'll do a great job in the coming months for his country. Thank you. Hindustan Zindabad.